Hey, my loves! Welcome back to my channel. Today we are diving deep into a topic that hits close to home, my gluten-free journey. Now, before you click away thinking, ugh, another gluten-free story, trust me on this one. This isn't your typical preachy, I'm healthier now spiel. This, my friends, is a story of denial, anger, bargaining, despair, and finally, acceptance. It's a roller coaster of emotions, sprinkled with gluten-free flour and seasoned with a whole lot of humor. Okay, picture this. You're young, you're carefree, and the world is your oyster. An oyster with a side of garlic bread. You've heard whispers about this thing called gluten and how it's like bad for some people. But those people are probably just like super sensitive, right? So you keep living your best life, devouring pizza with reckless abandon and brushing off the occasional stomachache as like, oh, I probably shouldn't have had that fourth slice. You convince yourself it's the dairy or the grease or maybe Mercury in retrograde. Anything but the gluten. The thought of giving up bread? Pure insanity. You scoff at the gluten-free section in the grocery store, wondering who those sad, pale imitations are even meant for. Life without bread is no life at all, you declare. Little did you know, my friend, that life as you knew it was about to change. The first sign was subtle. Maybe a little extra bloating, a touch more fatigue. But you brush it off, attributing it to stress or lack of sleep. But then the symptoms start to ramp up. The digestive issues become harder to ignore. You start feeling sluggish all the time. And your skin? Let's just say it's having a moment, a not-so-cute, breakout-prone moment. Still, you resist. You cling to the hope that it's just a phase, a temporary blip in your otherwise perfect digestion. You start popping antacids like candy, convinced that you can outsmart your body. But deep down, a tiny seed of doubt begins to sprout. Could it be gluten? Nah, impossible. You love bread too much. It's a staple food group, a way of life. You refuse to believe that something so delicious could be the source of your misery. So the test results are in. You stare at the paper, the words gluten sensitivity glaring back at you like a cruel joke. Denial crumbles, making way for a tidal wave of anger. Anger at the diagnosis, anger at your body for betraying you, anger at the universe for conspiring to take away your precious carbs. Why me? You scream into the void, shaking your fist at the heavens. You rage against the injustice of it all. Why should you have to give up bread, pasta, pizza, all the good things in life? It's simply not fair. This anger spills over into every aspect of your life. You become the resident gluten-free grump, shooting death glares at anyone who dares to enjoy a sandwich in your presence. You rant to your friends, your family, even the poor barista at your local coffee shop who is just trying to hand you your, now tragically gluten-free, muffin. You become convinced that the entire world is against you, that everyone is in on some elaborate gluten-loving conspiracy. You start to see gluten everywhere you look, lurking in sauces, hiding in soups, masquerading as innocent-looking snacks. It's enough to make you want to swear off food altogether. But then you remember your deep and abiding love for pizza, and you realize that's not an option. As the anger simmers, it starts to morph into a different beast altogether, a desperate, bargaining kind of monster. Okay, so maybe you can't outrun this gluten thing, but surely you can negotiate with it, right? This is where the bargaining stage begins. You strike up deals with your body like a seasoned diplomat, convinced you can find a loophole in the gluten-free treaty. Okay, body, you whisper, patting your stomach tentatively. How about this? I'll only eat gluten on weekends. Think of it as a cheat day, or, a cheat 48 hours. We can totally make this work. Spoiler alert, it doesn't work. In fact, it backfires spectacularly. You learn the hard way that gluten doesn't negotiate. A single slice of regular bread is all it takes to send you spiraling back into a world of digestive distress. Defeated, you retreat, licking your wounds and wondering how something so seemingly innocent could hold such power over you. But you're not ready to give up just yet. You enter a phase of meticulous label reading, convinced that you can outsmart the system by finding hidden traces of gluten in unsuspecting foods. You become a gluten detective, scouring ingredient lists with the intensity of Sherlock Holmes on a particularly perplexing case. Aha! You exclaim triumphantly, pointing at a seemingly innocuous bottle of salad dressing. Maltodextrin, I knew you were hiding something. Your friends and family start to worry. You're spending an absurd amount of time in the grocery store, interrogating cashiers about the gluten content of their products. You're carrying around a small pharmacy's worth of digestive aids. And let's not even get started on the emotional breakdowns in the middle of the bread aisle. It's time to face the music, my friend. The bargaining stage is a dangerous illusion, a siren song that leads only to disappointment and a whole lot of tummy troubles. The bargaining has failed. The gluten-free gods are unforgiving. A deep sadness settles over you, a blanket of despair woven from gluten-free breadcrumbs. The world suddenly seems devoid of joy, a bleak landscape devoid of pizza, pasta, and all things delicious. You mourn the loss of your former life, a life filled with carefree bread consumption and blissful ignorance of the very existence of gluten. You scroll through old photos, tears welling up in your eyes as you reminisce about the good old days when a bagel was just a bagel, not a weapon of mass digestive destruction. The smell of freshly baked bread, once a source of comfort and joy, now taunts you with its forbidden deliciousness. You walk past bakeries, your heart aching with longing, the aroma of croissants a cruel reminder of what you can no longer have. Evenings are the hardest. As you sit down to a dinner of meticulously prepared yet undeniably bland gluten-free fare, you can't help but feel a pang of envy for your gluten-loving companions who are happily digging into their plates of pasta, their faces smeared with sauce and pure, unadulterated joy. Will I ever know true happiness again? You wonder, picking at your gluten-free quinoa salad with a distinct lack of enthusiasm. The world feels divided into two camps, those who can eat gluten and those who can't. And you, my friend, are stuck on the wrong side of the fence. But then, something miraculous happens. Just when you're about to drown in a sea of gluten-free despair, a glimmer of hope emerges. You discover that the gluten-free world isn't the culinary wasteland you once thought it was. In fact, it's a land of opportunity, a chance to explore new flavors, experiment with different ingredients, and rediscover the joy of cooking. You stumble upon amazing gluten-free bakeries, their shelves piled high with bread, cakes and pastries that look, smell and taste just as good as their gluten-laden counterparts. You learn to make your own pizza dough, experimenting with different flours until you achieve the perfect crispy, chewy crust. You embrace the challenge of finding gluten-free alternatives, and in the process, you discover a whole new world of deliciousness. You realize that gluten-free doesn't have to mean taste-free. In fact, it can be just as satisfying, if not more so, than your old gluten-filled favorites. But more importantly, you start to notice a difference in how you feel. The bloating, the fatigue, the digestive woes, they start to fade away, replaced by a newfound sense of energy and well-being. Your skin clears up, your energy levels soar, and you finally understand what it means to feel truly healthy from the inside out. You realize that while giving up gluten may have initially felt like a loss, it has ultimately led you to a place of greater self-awareness and appreciation for your body. You're no longer defined by what you can or can't eat, but by the positive choices you make for your health and well-being. And hey, if you happen to stumble upon a really, really good gluten-free bread along the way, well, that's just the icing on the gluten-free cake. So, there you have it. My gluten-free journey in all its messy, emotional glory. It's been a roller coaster, that's for sure, but I wouldn't change a thing. Going gluten-free has taught me so much about myself, about my relationship with food, my body, and my overall health. It's been a journey of self-discovery, frustration, and ultimately, acceptance. And you know what? I kind of love my gluten-free life. I'm healthier, happier, and more energized than ever before.